3 months ago at the New York Auto Show, Kia took the wraps off its very first electric global sedan, the EV4, and with the same E-GMP platform that underpins vehicles such as the EV6 and the EV9, this seems like a very compelling vehicle. However, this one comes with a 400-volt architecture versus the 800-volt that we've seen from some of the other E-GMP vehicles, at least here in the United States, which means slightly slower charging times, but ultimately that might not be a big sacrifice to make with the enhancements that Kia has made to this 400-volt architecture versus vehicles that we've seen in the past. So with two different battery sizes available, up to 330 miles of estimated range according to Kia, standard NACS charging, and a very affordable price point, which unfortunately we don't know quite yet, this still should be a very good option for those looking for either the first-time EV buyer or wanting to dive into a affordable electric vehicle from vehicles that they've had in the past. So I'm here in Detroit, Michigan. Kia was kind enough to invite me up to this event to take a very first look at the EV4. So without further ado, let's not waste any time and see what this vehicle has to offer. So before we take a look at the EV4 GT line sitting in front of us, I do want to run through the trim walk or the trims available with the different powertrain and battery capacities available with the EV4 here in the United States. So there's going to be 3 different trims, a light, wind, and GT line trim. The light will get the smaller of the 2 batteries available at 58.3 kilowatt hours of battery capacity with a Kia estimated range of 235 miles on a single charge. 10 to 80% charge on that smaller battery will be 29 minutes with a peak charge rate of 100 kilowatts of speed, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but 10 to 80% in 29 minutes really isn't all that bad for, a 400 volt architecture vehicle. Now moving up to the wind or the GT line, you'll automatically get the 81.4 kilowatt hour largest battery available with a 330 mile range on the wind or a 300 mile range on the GT line, and a 10 to 80% charge time in as little as 31 minutes according to Kia, with a peak charge rate of 127 kilowatts, which again, I know doesn't seem all that impressive, but 10 to 80% with that size of battery isn't all that terrible when you look at some of the competition or other vehicles that are currently available on the market. So I'm assuming the charge curve is going to be fairly robust and fairly flat. All EV4s will feature a 48 amp level 2 onboard charger, so you have roughly 11 kilowatts of level 2 charging, which is very competitive currently. They feature iPedal 3.0, which is the latest generation or version of iPedal, which remembers your last setting between ignition cycles and also works in the reverse gear, which is the first time we've seen that here on a Hyundai Motor Group vehicle. Now the EV4 sitting in front of us is finished in the new shale gray exterior, which is a new medium metallic gray, similar to wolf gray, just a little bit on the darker side within the lineup. And this is the first vehicle that we're going to see this exterior color featured on. So starting at the front end, this one once again is a GT line fully loaded. You'll get the cube LED pixel lights with the daytime running lights and turn signals in this vertical orientation right here. You have a very similar tiger nose front fascia that is a little bit shortened in terms of its overhang from that of the internal combustion vehicles such as the K4 or vehicles like that. You have a nice amount of gloss black and body color here at the front. Overall, I think the front of this vehicle looks very nice and is fairly aggressive looking, tailored to that of the younger buyer or demographics in which Kia is targeting for this vehicle. And you do have the 360 surround view camera system with the Kia badging, front, rear, and side parking sensors with the available technology package in which this one is equipped. Now coming to the side profile, you have a lot of two-tone effect going on with the gloss black mirror caps, the lower trim on the doors there around the wheel arches, and of course the two-tone wheels themselves. Now this one being a GT line does have the larger 19-inch alloy wheels, which is a slightly more conventional wheel design from that of the 17-inch wheel on the wind and the light trims, which is a little bit more aerodynamic and thus efficient, with it looks like a Nexen and Farah all-season EV-specific tire. In case you're wondering about the size, it is going to be a 215/50 19-inch, so fairly narrow, which ultimately should help with a little bit of range and efficiency. You can see the side marker down there. You do have gloss black mirror caps with the LED turn integration, 360 cameras. The mirrors are going to be heated. They do have blind spot detection, and it looks like they do not have any sort of puddle lights, but you do have the retractable power door handles with digital key 2.0 and proximity entry on both the front doors only. That will be a standard feature on the wind or higher. If you get a standard light, it will not have power retractable door handles. I believe it's going to be a more manual design that still might be flush in terms of the body, but won't automatically present themselves when you do approach with the proximity key or the digital key on your person. You can see the design language here around the darkened chrome trim for the window. We have some unique pillar language going on around the C-pillar, just like that of the K4. We have the slightly largened panoramic power sunroof here with the power shade on the inside, which we will mention here in a second. And then a little bit of body color with the shark fin antenna. And then coming out to the back of this vehicle, this is arguably the most controversial aspect in terms of design language, but you do have LED taillights, turn signals, and the reverse light is going to be located centrally in the bottom of the bumper there, all in this vertical orientation, which, you know, Kia likes to use all those aggressive lines and design language. There's the rear backup sensors, the side parking sensors, gloss black here in the middle of the rear bumper with these triangular sections that are body color on the outside. EV4 badging, Kia, as well as the GT line on the passenger side. Backup cameras located on the bottom side of the trunk lid along with the LED license plate lights. And there's really not a lot going on here as far as the deck lid or the trunk area. This is all just gloss black that opens with the trunk. The rear glass section actually starts just above this in that line right there. So you have the rear back window, which does not have a wiper on it. But there you see a side profile, definitely quite a bit of overhang, kind of like the K4 sedan, if you will, in terms of cargo space in the trunk area. And then coming to the passenger front fender is where we're going to find the NACS charging port. Now, this is a totally different location than what we're used to seeing, but it should provide at least a suitable location for pulling up to Tesla superchargers and using the relatively short cables on this vehicle out of the box from the factory. So Kia says this will be able to use Tesla superchargers once this vehicle goes on sale. You do have the NACS charge port with a little LED light and indicator there. It looks like there's a little LED light for nighttime situations. This will lock with the vehicle. And once again, this vehicle should charge up to 127 kilowatts of peak charge speed, roughly 31 minutes, 10 to 80% with the larger 81 kilowatt hour battery pack. And let me know what you guys think of the design and all the aesthetics and even the technology in the EV powertrain down in the comment section below. Now taking a look on the interior, door handles do have the same textured element on the backside for grip. So I really like that about the Kia Hyundai vehicles. And here on the interior, you do have a white and black two-tone Syntex, just like that of some of their other models. So starting out here on the driver's side door panel, this is all going to be a textured soft touch, a little bit of multicolor ambient lighting, smooth Syntex with the smooth armrest finished in the off-white. You have power windows, mirrors, and locks with both of the two front windows being automatic up-down. Looks like we do have power folding mirrors on this one, which is always a cool feature to have. And then you have heated and ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, two-position memory driver's seat, some accent lines here on the armrest with a little bit of additional bottle storage, Harman Kardon premium audio system with a silver accent stainless steel grille with the GT line door sill plate. And then take a look at the driver's seat. It is going to be fully powered with two-way power lumbar. And this is actually a driver's seat relaxation switch. Doesn't have the leg extension or anything, but you can see it does automatically recline and bring the front of the seat bottom up. So uses all the functions to give you that relaxation seat, and I assume this is a US spec vehicle. So very cool amount of functionality and features. You can see the Syntex is a smooth perforated with the textured middle. I have some white poking through the perforations, GT line on the back. And taking a look at the dashboard, there you can see all of the two-tone colors and accents. Now stepping inside, immediately if you're familiar with the K4 sedan, this is going to be very familiar to the buyer of this vehicle, as there's a lot of design language borrowed from that of their other recent products. So in front of the driver, you're going to find the 29-inch display from diagonal corner to diagonal corner, which consists of two 12.3-inch digital cluster and digital infotainment system with a small 5-inch climate control touchscreen in the middle. So in terms of the digital gauge cluster, this is very usual and familiar Kia design. You have your estimated range over here with your mile per hour, battery state of charge, and some other information which you can cycle on the infotainment steering wheel controls right here. And I don't think there's going to be any features that are missing from this vehicle. And in fact, there's going to be some additional stuff that you probably haven't seen on any of their other vehicles as of this date. Heated steering wheel, like I said, with the two-tone effect. You have your driver assistance with highway drive assist, lane follow assist, and adaptive cruise. All these are stuff over there. Audio multimedia on the right side, drive mode selection in the middle, and then you have your column mounted gear shift, which I believe this might be the first time that Kia's implemented this with your start stop button located right there. All of this feels a little bit on the plasticky side, not gonna lie, but maybe this isn't quite the final implementation. The park is located on the outside, and this is just normal plastic, not stainless steel or metal accent like the Hyundai vehicles. On the back side, you'll find the regen pals to just the regen 3.0. Once again, this has adaptive functions, it works in reverse. And remember the last regen settle between ignition cycles. And then you have automatic headlights, auto high beam assist, and this vehicle looks like does not have rain sense wipers. But to the left of the steering wheel, we have your gauge dimming, electronic parking brake, trunk release, as well as the traction control off, manual tilt telescopic steering wheel. There you can see the textured elements across the dashboard, no heads-up display. But then coming over here to the infotainment, you have that 12.3-inch digital infotainment with CCNC hardware, which means built-in navigation, wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You have Kia AI voice assistant on this vehicle, so you can even tell to do some more advanced functionalities. And of course, there's going to be other functions that we'll have to explore in the future when I get this vehicle to test and or drive for the very first time. You have hard touch touch sensitive buttons here for the home map search functionalities, which is a capacitive touch, so it gives you a little bit of haptic feedback. You have your volume knob and roller there with some dual zone automatic climate control, initial controls, where more advanced functions I'm sure will be done through the actual infotainment screen. Looks like you have YouTube player on this vehicle. That's the first time I've seen it on a CCNC vehicle, so that is pretty cool to see that. Sure, that only works in park for when you're charging or just in the vehicle for entertainment purposes. And down below, you have USB-C data and charge port, 12-volt power outlet. We have our wireless charging pad and Kia digital keypad. And then the automatic vehicle hold, 360 camera system, parking sensors, hill descent control. There you can see the augmented reality view, which of course this vehicle does feature with all the latest updated hardware. And we have a little bit of console storage. You have selectable cup holders down in the center console, so you can change and use this space how you wish, depending on if you have beverages or not. Soft touch white padded armrests with the EV4. Looks like pre-production model key, so this is not a final production, but it does have your remote start. Looks like forward and back for the remote smart park assist 1. And then there's the lock, unlock, all the usual stuff that we've been used to there. And then coming up top, we have the black headliner, black pillars, grab handles. Looks like LED vanity illumination, manual dimming interior rear view mirror, overhead LED lighting, Kia Connect, power sunroof, and emergency services. And opening the sunroof, it looks like it's going to be basically identical in size to that of the K4 sedan, which is a little bit more oversized than that of the traditional power sunroof, and it does feature a power shade, which once again is not a feature that you normally find in the price point in which a lot of these vehicles do feature it. Now, again, we don't know the price point on this one yet, but overall the front seems pretty spacious, does have a lot of creature comforts and amenities. And putting the seat in my rough driving position, let's go ahead and take a look at the rear seat. So coming out back of the EV4, you're gonna find some of the materials do follow through from the front seat. So in terms of the driver door here, this is hard touch plastic, but this portion down below is all soft touch with the padded armrest. You have a slightly widened power window, which is an interesting choice for switchgear. Little bit of bottle storage, and then the same Harman Kardon out back, of course. There's the seating materials are all gonna be the same from the front, but no two-tone effect on the bottoms of the seat. But we do have the two-tone for the upper section and the headrest. And then stepping inside, it's actually not too bad. This is a little bit of a lower roof line, so I kind of had to duck my head a little bit more there, but really not all that bad. And there's going to be a look at the front dashboard. Out back in terms of amenities, we have AC vents, a little bit of additional storage, 2 USB-C charge ports on the left and right hand side with a pocket for seat back storage if you want to use that for anything. And in terms of legroom and overall physical space, this thing is massive back here. We have, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches of legroom. You don't have that much foot room down below, so you can't really put your feet down there too much. But in terms of headspace, this has a more reclined or relaxed seat back. Just to give you maybe a little bit of additional headspace, I would say I have about 2 inches of headroom here. I'm 5'9", and you definitely feel like you're sitting back and more reclined than you are in a lot of other compact sedan vehicles such as this. So I guess if you're looking for a mildly comfortable back seat with a lot of space, this is certainly going to offer you that. Now, you do have split folding seats, 60/40. They have cup holders. You have your padded armrest in the middle. And then, of course, the deck lid with the subwoofer and other features like that. But yeah, this is a very interesting seating position in the back, given that the actual seat back is reclined more than I'm used to. And one additional item that I nearly forgot to mention is the fact that this vehicle does come equipped with vehicle to load underneath the second row seats when you get a fully equipped GT line car. So you have a 15 amp, 125 volt wall outlet, just like that of some of their other E-GMP platform vehicles, which I think is fantastic. It is a little bit unfortunate that they limit it to a fully loaded GT line trim only, because, you know, I think that is a valuable piece of hardware when you have such a high capacity, high voltage battery system. Now, coming out to the trunk space, release is right beside the camera, just as a normal power release trunk, but manual lift. Taking a look at the interior cargo space, you're gonna find a good amount with a fairly sizable opening here. You can see it's pretty vertical in orientation and goes out all the way to the taillights. You do have hinges that will crush your cargo, so do keep that in mind on the edges. There's your seat back releases for the 60/40 split folding seats. And then you do have, it looks like beneath the cargo floor here, tire mobility kit with additional storage space for anything you might want to keep down there, such as your EVSC charge cord and things like that. So in terms of overall storage, I would say this is easily class competitive and has an interesting shape to the opening. Maybe wish it was a little bit more of a lift back, but that's kind of a personal preference side of things. Now coming to the passenger front seat, looks like we do have a power passenger seat over here, so it has most of the same adjustments as the driver's side, including two-way power lumbar. And then here on the dashboard, you can see the white and black two-tone effect, AC vents, multicolor ambient interior lighting. Glove box is damped. It does have LED illumination and is a traditional size. And then coming to the front of the vehicle, I do want to pop the hood because there's unfortunately no storage space under there, but we can talk about the powertrain. Under here, you're gonna find a single drivetrain in terms of its front wheel drive only electric motor. So it's gonna be a 150 kilowatt electric motor across all trims and battery sizes, which is 201 horsepower and 209 pound-feet of torque, which should be good for a 0 to 60 time somewhere in the around 7-second range, depending on ultimately the programming and the acceleration characteristics of this vehicle. But this is gonna be no slouch with just over 200 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque. It's just ultimately how this vehicle will be tuned and how responsive this powertrain will be. Like I said, pricing is not available for the EV4 quite yet. If I had to speculate, I'm sure this is gonna be somewhere in the $30,000 price range to start. This fully loaded GT line with all the features and amenities could be a little bit more than that. We'll just have to wait and see closer to the on-sale date of this vehicle, which Kia is targeting early 2026 for the release to your local dealership. So I'm sure Q1, Q2 of 2026, these vehicles will hopefully be on sale for you to purchase if you're looking at buying one for yourself. And we will hopefully see the EPA official range figures before launch of these vehicles, you know, when they announce pricing, to see if they either met or exceeded that 330 miles of estimated range in the highest performing wind trim level. Like I said, the GT line with these larger wheels and tires are going to likely come in somewhere around that 300 mile mark, at least according to Kia and the information that they currently have available. But with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video and or found something helpful, make sure to hit that like button below, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the EV4 down in the comment section below. Is this a vehicle that you want to consider buying either as a first-time EV buyer or someone who's maybe upgrading from a last generation EV, even if it does already have a 400 volt architecture, such as the Chevy Bolt, the original Nero EVs, things like that? Or is this, going to be your first adventure into an electric vehicle? And Kia really wants this to be, everything's properly physically controlled on the inside, so you don't have any weird buttons or switchgear all done through the touchscreens like some other manufacturers. They want it to be very familiar. So if you're coming from a gas vehicle, going to the EV for the very first time, basically it's get in, go with no extra complexities, if you will, coming in again at a hopefully very affordable price point. But I want to give a huge thanks to Kia for inviting me up to Detroit to check out the EV4 and the K4 hatch for the very first time. Make sure you guys subscribe and check out that video if you guys haven't already. Hatchbacks are definitely my thing, and I absolutely love the K4 hatch. But this EV4, even if the looks aren't your ideal preference, I think it will grow on you a little bit over time like the K4 sedan did, and still should offer very competitive EV or electric vehicle performance in terms of range, charging, all those things at a relatively affordable price tag, which again, unfortunately, we don't know quite yet. But anyways, let me know all that down in the comment section below. As always, I hope to see you guys in the next one.